episode of Mind Over Masculinity, the podcast where we question, challenge, and rewrite the stories that we have been told about our bodies, our health, and even how we show up in the world. And today we are throwing out the rulebook on healing. Like, we have all conditioned to believe that when something breaks, our body, our mindset, our spirit, the only answer is the path society lays out for us: surgery, medication, tough it out, accept the decline, you are man. So, all these things, right? But what if the answer was something completely different? What if healing wasn't about fixing ourselves, but about rediscovering something that we have lost, right? Great to think, right? So my guest there is Zander Phelps. So welcome to the show, Zander.
Thank you, Avik. Great to be here.
Lovely, lovely. So Zander, like before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Dear listeners, Zander, who has spent 10 years traveling the world with nothing but a pack on his back and a hacky stack in his pocket. Along the way, like he discovered something simple but incredibly powerful. Like play is the universal language of love. That's amazing, right? So Xander believes that play isn't just a fun distraction, it's the antidote to so much of what's hurting us, like disconnection, stress, even chronic pain. And he doesn't just talk about it, he lives it. But here, where it gets wild. Like when faced with hernia, something that most people would rush into surgery for, but Xander did something different. He healed it on his own because surgery would have taken away his ability to do the thing that fuels him most: play. How did he do it? What does play have to do with the healing, and why is our world getting this so wrong? Let's dive into this and open the forum. So, welcome to the show again.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, Xander, if you can tell us that moment you realize that you had hernia, and what was going through your mind?
That's exactly this. Oh shit. Because I was I was jumping on a trampoline with my son, just goofing around, and I did a large jump, and I felt immediate pain on my left side, and a sharp pain. And so I lifted up my shirt and I looked down, and there was a bulge. It was an inguinal hernia. So just a lower core, lower stomach area. This a big size chunk of flesh was hanging out, and uh, I immediately my immediate thought was oh no. Um, this is not good. I couldn't jump around anymore, of course, on the trampoline. But then I immediately went down the path of this is going to mess me up. This is going to be something I'm going to have to deal with and prevent me from doing the thing I love to do. Literally, I was living on Kauai, and I was known every weekend to go down to the farmer's market and play. I went to schools and I played, showed the kids about playing and stuff. And so I knew it was going to cut me away from that. And it was one of those moments of, oh no, what am I going to do about this?
Hmm. Understood.
It's intense.
I mean, uh, like, what was the first thing you did? Like, were you tempted to follow the traditional route, or what?
Yes, I went to one of my doctor friends, and I showed him it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's a hernia. You have a couple of options. If it's
Hmm.
not hurting you, you can just live with it, and you can check to see how it progresses, or you can do the surgery." And
Hmm.
um, you know, he's On Kauai, we don't have, there was, really mainly one hospital, and they just did the mesh surgery. So what I did is I initially just started researching actually what the mesh surgery would do. And I knew almost pretty quickly I did not want to get that surgery done. Right?
Mhm.
It's pretty invasive. You're sticking this foreign substance into your body, and your body reacts to it in a very negative way. I didn't want to do that. So
Mhm.
I started researching other ways, and I found a couple of doctors, one in Canada that would do a steel thread that would just stay in your body, and it wouldn't be the mesh, but it would still be a steel uh, substance in the body. And then I found a guy in Italy who would use
Mhm.
your own tissue to sew it together, and your body would eventually absorb the tissue. It was a much better way of doing it. So I actually had made plans to go to Italy to do that surgery, but I couldn't do it. It was not. My son's mother was like, "You can't just leave and do that." So we're not gonna. You can't do that. So I
Mhm.
had to figure out another option, and the option was for me just to heal it myself.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, and that's something a lot of people can relate to, I believe. And uh that's thanks for sharing this. And um like most people would hear that this is and immediately think that game over, surgery or suffer.
Yeah.
And so what made you question that?
Well, I have a background in a massage therapist. So I've worked with a lot of people on how to, heal the body. And you know, I recognize that we can heal dramatically with the right mindset. It's
Yeah.
it's it's pretty apparent that humans, our body has a natural ability to heal if we allow it to do that. There's also the amazing stories about people going through cancer and going through the process of laughing a lot, and that also helps heal the body. Laughter is an amazing medicine.
Hmm.
So I had hope that way. I figured that, my body can heal if I just create the right environment for it. And I also knew that I had to do it. It wasn't even the the thought was I'm going to try to heal it. If it takes longer, if in 6 months I do not have my body healed, then I'll get the surgery. But I'm going to give myself 6 months to just dive in and do everything I can to heal it.
Hmm. Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
And like I mean, uh how did you actually heal from this? I mean, what were the key things that made a difference?
The physical and mental. For physical, I
Hmm.
focused on Edgar Casey, a famous healer guy, talked about the miracles of castor oil. So he has this castor oil pack treatment that he would do where you put on castor oil into a wool pack, and then you lay a plastic bag on top of that. And then on top of that, you put a heating pad. So castor oil is like the deepest penetrating oil, as well as it's very lubricative. I think that's the right word, but it's a great lubricative, lubricator, whatever it is. But but so I did that, and I also added myrrh oil because myrrh oil helps with blood simulation, circulation, as well as a pain reliever.
Yeah.
So I put that a couple of drops of myrrh on there, the castor oil pack, the plastic bag, and the heating pad. I would do that every day. It just felt really good. The heat really felt nice. And then after that, would do a self massage. So I'd rub around the hernia. I'd find the areas on the outside of the hernia where I can press the tissue in, and I try to just coax it to move together. I was also doing a visual. I was visualizing what it was doing for my body every time I was doing it. Right. So
Yeah.
that's another layer of like helping it out. I did this exercise every day called the vacuum breath. So it's a way you suck in, you push out all the air out of your lungs, and you suck in your core, and you work the muscles independently. So there's a series of steps that you do to help gain that control of that the core muscle area. This exercises your internal organs, as well as helps the fascia readjust. So it's an amazingly powerful exercise. I still try and do them every day. And the third main thing I did was take aloe vera. So I would take a huge chunk of aloe vera, cut it into cubes, rinse it, and then eat that. And then use the leaf that I'd cut off, and I would rub that on the area as well. And aloe vera is just it's an amazingly self-healing plant. Like if you cut off a leaf of aloe vera and you leave it, it will leave it on the counter. It will even heal up itself. So it was one of those things. I'm like, this is just going to be another aspect of it. I'll take it internally, work it externally, and put the most healing power I can into it. And I did certain a specific type of yoga exercise. From I had a great teacher on Kauai who did she developed a new type of yoga technique, which is extraordinary. And I did some acupuncture as well, but acupuncture was only a couple of times, so it's not a real big factor in the whole process. And then just changed my diet up a lot. I liquefied my diet most of the time. I stayed away from any um, meats, just for hard to digest. I stayed away from grains, breads, anything like that and nuts, anything that was challenging for my body to digest. I just cut out and started. I tried to liquefy my diet as much as possible.
Uh, okay.
And
So,
the mental part too. The mental part too was key too. Is thinking about it and trying to find ways to just laugh a lot. I did try to laugh because that's a way of stimulating your whole body and creating the feel good chemicals through your whole body.
okay. Yeah. So, like, you have said that our world is losing a battle, and not just against physical decline, but against the technology sucking up our ability to connect with humans or as humans. So, how do you see that playing out?
Well, yeah, right now, I mean, I see it a lot with my own son. He's at an age where he doesn't want to go outside much. He's like, why would I go outside when I could just stay on my computer and I can connect with my friends all around the world? And and I pro my pushback is, but you're missing out on what it is to be a human. We humans need that interconnected. We need to be able to physical touch is important, but having that ability to play with somebody in a physical way is why we're here. So the battle against technology and our human the human way of life is real because we're the technology driven society right now. They have experts and people who know how to program these things to keep us addicted to them, like the permanent scroll and stuff like that. People can spend the whole day just sitting on their couch scrolling and doing nothing. And it not only affects us in our way of feeling like, not being able to get outside and not being able to do things, but we recognize that we've just wasted a day. I mean, it's just not something that you just can slough off and say, "Oh, whatever." But and that builds in your mind as far as, "Oh, I'm not really doing much other than just hanging out and scrolling all day." But it's one of those things that you really can witness it in our youth as I see kids around hanging around their phones and their faces are just in the phones all the time. And it really is distressful for me growing up. When I grew up, it was a big deal to go out and play in the street with your friends. It was like one of those things that your parents would be like, just be home before, the street lights come on. So the friends we'd all meet up someplace and just go do stuff together, and that's really what is amazing about being a human. So it's affecting a lot of people.
Understood. That's That's very important, yeah, I have to say. And like, if play is the answer, then how do we start weaving it back into our lives in a real way?
There's so many different ways. I mean, I have there's this one book I read that talks about this specifically in um, every chapter. It goes with little steps that you can do. Uh, Shoot, I forgot the title. I just fumbled the title, but it, there's there's different ways that we can adjust little things. And I mean, everyone has their way of playing, Vic. So what you need to do is start testing different waters. There's, whether you go meet up with a friend, like game nights are great for people. I go to like once a month. I have a friend they have game night at their place. Start something like that up with a few friends that you have, and word will start spreading. People, that's another way of just interacting and getting laughter going and making something that people look forward to. That's another problem is we really need to look forward to things. It's like when you have that thing that you're going, okay, next month I'm going to meet up with all my friends again. That gives you a drive for that whole month just to be able to do that.
Mm.
If the next day you're not doing anything important, there's not really something going on. So I mean, I have of course, my standard protocol is I teach people to juggling. That's my number one brain exercise and keeping yourself amused, versus getting on a phone. Just learn juggling and start juggling. That'll help. And of course, my number one recommendation is the thing that started the whole thing off for me is kicking around a foot bag, going to a park and doing an amazing exercise. But it was an invitation for other people to play with me. So that was
Mm.
my goal every time I came into a new country or a new area, was to play in a park and get situated in the area, but I'd meet somebody cool. All right.
Understood. Okay, that's a huge shift. We are so plugged into screens, so we are unplugging from real life. That's true. That's very true.
It's very important. And there's actually a movement of it going on right now. In America, we have schools are having digital detox programs. So it's starting in the universities where they actively have places where that you don't have phones. They're phone-free zones. They have concerts that they have, activity events that they go to, and just meetups where people don't bring their phones, and they're having people switch over to flip phones now, so that they cannot go onto the internet, and just the social media thing is not on their phones. So a lot of people are doing that. They're designated times that they do go on social media. It's like after 5 o'clock, they're like, okay, we can go on our social media things, but during the daytime, no. And they designate only like a certain amount of time that they'll go on to. So it's a way of trying to combat it consciously by not excluding technology, but limiting it.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So looking back, what's the biggest thing you have learned? I mean, not just about healing from hernia, but about life from this experience.
The play phenomena, or the play attitude, is something that I I've discovered how amazing it is and how much more it's needed. Um, it's one of those things that's very underrated. People associate play with not being productive, and I've discovered that that's nothing could be further from the truth. Like, if you have a playful spirit and attitude, you can be very productive and creative, and it really keeps you motivated to continue to become you know I, it's deciding between that work is and play can be intermixed, and I think it's very important for us to recognize that. I see humanity at a point where we're going to either adjust into this technological world and keep our humanity, or we're going to lose it. And for us to be able to start spreading importance of what it is to be a human, I think play is a part of that. It's a huge part of it. So that's one of the things that I've discovered, in recently, really, because I mean, this has been kind of like a recent shift from my perspective, because I was just doing play because I love to do it. But then recognizing over the years how important it is for us and what it does for our brains and our bodies and our social interaction, it's a fundamental thing that we need to recognize. And the more people who can start playing, who can do it out in public, so other people recognize it and see it, and then more people will start playing. It's addictive, as well as, letting people know that it's okay to play.
Understood. So, and also like one suggestion or maybe the advice you want to share today with the listeners.
Find your time every day to just put a little bit of play into your world. How you do it is you know is individualized. Everyone's got their way of playing, as I've mentioned, but just spend a little bit of time consciously doing it, and then you'll want to spend more time doing it. Once you start recognizing the benefits of play, it'll become part of your day versus being something that you have to do, or setting aside time to do. It just becomes part of your everyday movement. Like, I'll find ways to play doing the most mundane things. I often mention walking on the street. Every time I walk down the street, it's not walking in a straight line. It's jumping over things. It's jumping off of the curb and jumping up back on in a unique way. Just trying to change up my movement patterns, because that, for one thing, it activates different muscle groups, and that's one thing that walking is really kind of traumatic for humans, especially walking with shoes on flat surfaces, because we only activate the same muscles. So the way to change that up is to walk differently or something, and that forces your brain also to be in the present moment. You're not just walking along and doing the same thing. You're forcing yourself just to rethink things, and that gives you a different perspective on many things. Along with that, not only am I changing it up, I'm trying to make it a little fun,
Mhm.
playful, goofy, whatever. And the hopes of that is to affect somebody who sees me. If somebody sees me across the street doing something interesting or something, they might get a chuckle out of it and change up their perspective. But find your way to play in whatever you do. It's not it's not hard. It's not challenging. It's just remembering that we can do it.
Mhm. Lovely. Great.
Yeah.
Great. That's really, really great. And Xander, I mean, this has been such a mind expanding conversation and healing play, breaking the rules of what we have been told. This is the kind of stuff that changes lives. So, here's my challenge to all of you, dear listeners. When was the last time you truly played? Not just watched entertainment or not just distracted yourself, but actually played. So if it's been too long, maybe that's exactly what's missing. And maybe, just maybe, that's where your healing starts. So great. I mean, guys, like if this episode made you think, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And more importantly, go and play. So this is Mind Over Masculinity, your host, Avik, signing off. Keep questioning, keep moving, and I'll see you there next time. So thank you so much.